Hey there, everyone. The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth came out, and it's something that I've been trying to figure out exactly how to show off. And I've decided to show off greed mode because it's one of the biggest new features. I could try and get a bunch of different runs to show some of the new areas and like splice them together, but there's no guarantee that when showing the new areas I would have any of the new items, and I don't know, it feels like it would just take forever to splice together like 20 runs just to show a bunch of kind of not well put together stuff that would be all separate, and I don't really want to like make a let's play series out of it or anything, so I decided the best way to do it would be to show off greed mode. So Afterbirth comes with a bunch of new items, new transformations, a new character, new room types, new level types, including a new variant for every type of level. So, for instance, there's the basement and the cellar already in the game. Now there is the burning basement and the flooded caves, the dank depths, which I'm sure will spawn a bunch of annoying memes, and, what is it? The scarred womb, I believe, which is quite disturbing. And there's also a kind of new secretish thing, which I'm not going to talk about after the womb levels and things like that, with a very hard new boss that is just ridiculously difficult, a bunch of new unlocks, and, really, the synergy system for the items has been overhauled, basically. And I mean that in a very good way. There's a lot... Things work together a lot more now. There are lots of new room types, including these new narrow rooms that are an absolute pain. But for now, I'm going to show you how greed mode actually works. So welcome. Hopefully I'll get to show off some new items as well. Greed mode is a special new gameplay mode. You can choose it just like any other mode. You just select a character and go. Let's try it with Lazarus, just because he's got an extra life. And maybe that'll help. Greed mode can sometimes start off rather difficult, but it tends to get easier as you go if you're able to get good synergies going. So the way greed mode works, here we go, is that you'll be put into a room. And, surprise, I know, every room will have the same kind of setup. You'll have a curse room over here, you'll have an exit at the bottom which you cannot go into, you'll have a large ominous button in the center, a big shop up top, an item room that is always locked, and a different kind of item room that is always unlocked. And the first choice is to usually go in here and see what you get. Crackjacks. Which gives me petrified poop. That makes me feel like I shouldn't have broken all those poops. And this is pretty much how every room is going to start. Now in the shop is quite large and tends to have a semi-random selection of things, including some extra stuff just lying around. So this has a free heart in it, which is very nice. It has this reroll machine, which you can put money into, and usually at anywhere from 3 to 5 coins, it'll reroll everything in the shop, basically. But you'll always have a key, a heart, usually some other consumable type items, and a couple of actual items, like that you would normally find on pedestals, which you can buy. The point of greed mode is to get a lot of money from just doing the basic gameplay of greed mode, and then make your own build, because you'll, of course, there will still be subject to RNG in a certain amount because of the item rooms you'll come across and the actual items that generate in the shop. But the main goal is that you're trying to kind of make your own build, trying to buy the items that you want to actually work together. Save up and see what you can do, which is a very interesting way to do things, which is why it can start off quite difficult, because you don't have anything at first, except for what you're given in the white item room. You step on the button and things begin. So here's what happens. You step on the button and money spawns. Ow, I got hit the very first shot of the entire mode. That's great. And the better you're doing, the more money is going to spawn in the middle. That means basically the more waves of enemies in a row that you kill without stopping, the more money is going to spawn. I believe also not taking damage and stuff like that is a good way to do it. And clearing the ways before the timer in the middle counts down is also a good way to do it. The timer, basically a second is added to it every time, and enemy waves will continue to spawn up to around the 8th wave. As you can see over to the right there, I'm on the 5th wave now. And there will continue to be random enemy groups that show up, and it can get very, very hectic very quickly. Now, as you can see, you can hit the button again, which will stop the waves spawning if you need a break, and you can go into the shop and things like that. However, as you notice there, it takes half a heart to step on the button, and it doesn't, of course, immediately stop. You have to actually clear out what's there. And, of course, also stopping means that the kind of bonus money that you're racking up from completing the waves consecutively will reset, and you'll go back to getting less money at the beginning of the new button press again. But I wanted to stop it this time just because, you know, I've got enough money to get an item. You can also, of course, stop it to go into the shop and heal up, but if you keep healing up, getting new hearts, then you're not going to be saving up enough money to get items, very likely, which is going to severely limit the effectiveness of your run. And this is basically what greed mode is about in a nutshell. You're trying as hard as you can to do well, get far in these kind of almost endurance-style rounds of enemy waves. Do as many in a row as you can without having to mercy step on the button. Well, that's crap. Oh yeah, they added an announcer, by the way, too, when you use consumable items like pills and cards. And now I've got enough money to get an item. I would like to get a heart, but I'm not going to because I don't want to use the money. So let's get Mr. Dolly. There we go. And as you can see, every time you get an item in the shop, it replaces it. So the items don't run out, which is what that little recycle symbol below the map means. In the case of something like a heart, it'll just generate another heart in its place, but in the case of an actual pedestal item, it will generate another one from random pools, and you can of course continue to put money into that reroll machine to try and get different things. And of course, usually before you go to the next floor, you want to buy a key so you can get into the locked item room that's on every floor. And this is generally how greed mode works. Now the last two waves, 9 and 10, will be boss waves, and they will pull from the boss pool of each floor. So, you know, I'm in the basement right now, so it'll usually be basement bosses, but it isn't always one boss at a time. Sometimes it's multiple bosses, sometimes they're champion versions of the bosses. It's just as random as the normal game in terms of exactly what enemies will be appearing. And that means that you could have a very easy start depending on what you actually get, or a very, very difficult start. This mode is, interestingly enough, even though it's like less RNG than normal because you're actually able to select items you want from the shop more regularly, it also means that starting out is a little more RNG than normal because it's actually quite difficult from the beginning if you don't get a great start. Now, before I do the boss wave, I'm going to get a key so I can see what's in here. Occasionally these will have double pedestals as well, where you can select one of the two items as if you have the there's options item. There we go, fire rate up, which is very good. And let's do the boss route. So here we go. As you can see, the amount of money you actually get from the boss is higher, and the boss pretty much spawns instantly, as well as the countdown being longer. And yes, if you don't defeat it in time, the boss countdown will continue to go, and you will have to fight multiple bosses at once. And at higher floors, that can mean you're fighting 4 bosses at a time, maybe even more. It's actually a pretty brutal mode. It is quite high difficulty, although, just like in normal Isaac, the idea of the mode, of course, is to just be OP. You want an overpowered run. You want to feel very, very strong, get those item synergies up, and get something ridiculous going. But since it's a bit more hectic, you're in this one room the entire time, that means that, you know, so many enemies at once and things, if you don't get a good start, you can kind of get screwed from the beginning. Ow, that was stupid. But that also means you can generally, let's say, have a really, really good run pretty early on and just buy the synergies you want. Now, as you can see, the button has popped up again. And this happens at the end of every floor. If you want, you can hit that button one more time, which will spawn a much harder boss that will allow you to go into a devil room if you beat it. I don't know if you do that, say, multiple times and then don't go into the devil room, if you can spawn an angel room instead by doing that. I have no idea. I've not actually played greed mode quite enough yet to know for sure. But we're going to go to the next floor and see what's there. Now, as you're about to see, the progression of the floors here is a bit different from the normal game. There are a different number of them. And they're basically in double order. Instead of going through, like, the basement 1 and the basement 2, you just go to the basement and then the caves, and then, you know, so you don't, it's basically half the number of levels. And you do go to a chest-like area, which is called the shop later on. And that one doesn't have item rooms, if I remember correctly, but it does have the shop still. And then the final level, which is a boss fight. Yeah. This is probably a bad idea. Oh no, that means I lost my key. I should have opened the door. I should have opened the door before I did that. That was stupid. Damn. Is there a free key in here by chance? Let's see. Break in all the poops. Well, there's some money. That's enough to get a key. So let's just do that. I guess I could bomb that and see what happens, but let's just go for the guarantee. Ah. That works for me. Now, the synergies are starting to roll in, but it's going to take a minute, so let's go. The final level, by the way, is an extremely difficult boss. It's not as hard as the new boss or even some of the other bosses, but it is quite challenging, and it is Ultra Greed. Ultra Greed has a lot of health, so that means the boss fight does turn into a bit of an endurance round because it will probably last for quite some time. The boss fight with him, well, he's huge, first of all, a lot of high damage attacks, and he has some interesting mechanics. I don't want to spoil too much, I'm probably not going to get to show it in this video because that might take a while. You know, a greed mode run can take quite some time. I got knocked into the button, damn. But for the most part, what you're actually seeing with the Ultra Greed boss fight is he's got a couple of neat gimmicks. He'll drop coins down that do specific things if you don't break them in time, and a lot of his attacks involve, like, tossing coins around and things. It's not a pleasant fight, let's say. It's really, really very fun, and it's definitely one of the more enjoyable boss fights. Extra trinket room that I've actually experienced of, like, the really hard boss fights. It's a lot of fun. The room is large, so it's not like a cheap fight or anything. It's just a very enjoyable one. And when you beat Ultra Greed, there is a donation machine that appears just like the donation machine that's in shops in the normal game, but it has a different set of unlocks than the normal donation machine, including a new starting item for one of the characters. And what else is there? Oh yes, just like, oh god, how in the normal game, if you beat a boss with a specific character for the first time, you usually unlock an item, sometimes a new character. In the case of beating Ultra Greed, every character has an unlock. So basically that is an entire pool of new unlockable items that is put in the game, and they are all accessed by beating Ultra Greed once with every character, including the new character, by the way. And the new character herself, which is Lilith, is also unlocked by actually beating Ultra Greed with a different character. It's actually with Azazel. You have to beat Greed mode with him in order to unlock the new character. And she is an interesting one. Talk about the new character a bit. She is a bit difficult to use at first, but is very, very powerful if you're able to actually get a good run going. She relies heavily on familiar type items because of the way that she works, and the item that she starts with, actually lets her roll her familiars and things. I'm not gonna, again, I don't want to go into, like, super detail about how it works, but more or less, she is a very heavily familiar reliant character that is quite challenging to use at first, but can be very, very powerful, and might even be a little bit overpowered for Greed mode. Do I want to buy a heart before I go down in floors, or do I want to... You know what, I'm going to save the money, see what the next floor shop has in it, before I actually spend any. Maybe there'll be a free heart or a blue rock or something. Let's see what we get. And now we're moving on. Oh dear. here we are in the depths. So, first off, let's see what's in the item rooms. Ah, okay. So that is definitely nice for greed mode because you're in the same room all the time, so being able to maneuver around it as quickly as possible, definitely good. Okay. Actually, I'm not sure if I should have picked that up or not. What does the curse effect actually do in greed mode? Because you can't, what, just teleport me to, like, the shop or the item room that I was, that might have been a bad choice to pick up. We'll see. Well, there are no discounted hearts. Let's see what we get from the poops. Hopefully a heart. That would, yeah, there we go. Because I really don't want to buy any. Although I do have enough money to buy an item and a heart. Let's see what we got. Ooh. Chaos. Yeah. Makes me look very silly. We get this pill.
I can see forever.
I don't know if there are secret rooms to use that on in this mode. I think there might be. And we'll just save the rest of it. Let's see what happens. So, more or less, the way greed mode works is a very enjoyable break from the normal game. It's really pretty cool. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's actually designed really well. It's pretty balanced. Obviously, just like in the normal game, you can get a really, really bad run. And it's kind of interesting, the I guess, dichotomy between the idea of having just a really unlucky run in the normal game and actually being able to choose how good your run is in this mode because of... Ouch. It put me in the curse room. That sucks. Ow. That is a problem. But also what it comes down to is the actual way that the mode is constructed means that even though it is less random after a while, it might be a little more random at the beginning. But still, I think it's a very well-designed mode. And it does, just like how, you know, in the normal mode, every character has their own playstyle. In this mode, the playstyles are kind of, I guess, accentuated because you can actually choose the sorts of things that you have available to you after enough time. And what that really means is that the playstyle of each character is given some time to shine, I would say, because of the way that the mode actually works. So yeah, it's a well-designed break from the normal game mode and the challenges. It's different. Now, some of the other things, I'm doing terribly this time, some of the other things added by Afterbirth include, let's see, what else is there? The new transformations are pretty cool. You can collect a lot of different items now that are in sets and can help you transform into a new sort of shape. I believe Cthulhu is one of the new ones, and there's some other stuff as well. Yeah, that works.
Amnesia.
Oh, well, that's not really a problem in this game mode, is it? However, if you are frustrated by the RNG elements of games like this mode, I don't know, it might be for you because of how well you can actually control things later on, but it also might not be for you because of how random it can sometimes be at the beginning. Either way, though, it is a very welcome addition to The Binding of Isaac. I think it's excellent. Now, Afterbirth in general, how is it? Well, it's a really very good expansion DLC. It reminds me a lot of Wrath of the Lamb for the original Binding of Isaac in that it basically makes the game objectively better. It's just more Isaac, better than ever. There are some changes that people might not like, though. The announcer, for instance, I like the announcer, but some people might not because it kind of changes the sort of lonely feel of the game, some people feel like. It doesn't bother me, but I understand that some people might not like it. Maybe they'll put in an option in the options menu to, like, turn it off or something. I mean, I feel like that would be fine. That way the people that do like it can keep it on, the people that don't like it can just turn it off, and, you know, everyone wins, I guess. I don't know, though. But really, it's not, like, a big deal. I like it. It's a cute little announcer thing. It's not like Unreal Tournament kind of cheese, but it's silly. And the new narrow rooms are a bit of a point of contention in the fan base right now, because sometimes people see them as, like, guaranteed damage rooms, which is something that, of course, everyone wants to avoid actually having. And the way I personally see them is I don't mind them, but I understand people's frustrations with them because I've had some really unfortunate runs in a narrow boss room that felt a little cheap and like I had no chance at all, like fighting, for instance, Monstro 2 in a really narrow room. That means it's really hard to avoid his awful blood laser. Ooh. But at the same time, it does add an interesting amount of variety, and some of the narrow room fights are actually pretty fun. Again, bosses in narrow rooms can be, I don't know, they can be very, very challenging or very easy. I feel like it does intensify some of the RNG elements of the original, you know, like, game in itself, but I don't really feel that it's bad. I just think that they will definitely be a point of contention for a lot of people that enjoy the game. So this is the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. It adds a lot to the game. I feel that it's pretty much bettered the game in every way by adding just more to it, more items, more synergies, more transformations, another character, a new mode, more challenges, more unlocks. Just everything is bigger and better, basically, just like the Wrath of the Lamb did for the original. And I'm very, very happy with it. The price is right with this one. Of course, it was at a discount if you pre-ordered it for $6.66, because of course, and you can buy it right now for $11, or $10.99, I guess. And I feel it's very, very much worth that. It adds a significant amount of playtime to the game that already has a ton, and of course you can get it in a bundle if you wish. And I would feel that it's very much worthwhile to actually do that. So this is the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. I would highly recommend it to any Isaac fans, and if you're not sure about the Binding of Isaac, I don't know, watch Northern Lion or something, because he is, like, insane and plays this game nonstop, I think. And now that the expansion is out, I'm sure he's making even more videos about it. And you can get a good feel for how the game actually plays, and if you would indeed enjoy it.
Judgment.
Oh god, I don't know if I want to do that right now. Hang on. But, oh hey, I can, as it turns out. But in general, I feel that it definitely improves the game in a lot of ways. And the new music, even, is really awesome. Every one of the new areas has some new music. There's, of course, new boss themes and things because of new bosses. There's even new enemies to fight that do actually significantly change, the way that some of the floors actually feel. And Ultra Greed is extremely fun. And also not easy. Ooh, sweet. So yeah, and if you want to see more of the game, just let me know. I'll happily film more. Again, I don't really do like Let's Plays or anything, because I just feel I'm not very good at them. But a game like this, it is pretty easy to just film some runs and see what happens. So if people are interested in seeing more of the Binding of Isaac Afterbirth, then feel free to ask. But this is Greed Mode, and it is a very enjoyable time. If you can deal with the extra bit of kind of beginning difficulty from not knowing exactly how it's going to start and being pitted up against quite a wave of enemies from the beginning, it's a lot of fun. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. So, as an add-on to the end, I actually made it to Ultra Greed on this character, so I'm going to show you what the boss fight is like. I don't expect to do too well. I don't have a whole lot of maximum health or anything, but we'll see what happens. Before Ultra Greed, there was always one boss fight. So, let's see. Okay, it's Monstro. Not a problem. I can handle that. And there we go. Nice and easy. If only Ultra Greed was that easy. Okay, so here we go. Let's do it. I just figured I might as well show you, since I happened to make it with that character. Yeah. Ultra Greed will do some pretty impressive things and has a lot of attacks, and if at any point he starts to summon coins from the sky, you really, really need to destroy them as quickly as possible, because depending on the symbol on the coins, they do a different thing. Now, in this case, coins without a symbol on them don't do anything, but they will still hurt you, so of course you really don't want large things like that zoning you around the room. He can do things like heal himself, toss out a bunch more coins than he is now, and even summon enemies from the rooms you see on the side. Now, I'm actually not doing too bad here. I'm doing better than I thought I would, especially while commentating, but we'll see. Oh, good. Ugh. As you can see, the boss is large and a bit hectic, although if he starts to summon enemies from the side rooms and stuff, it gets a lot more hectic. Oh god, bombs. Okay. I got kind of lucky. At least the room you fight him in is quite sizable, but as you can see, his shots do have, oh good lord, a lot of range. Alright, stay away from those. Luckily, he can hurt himself with those, although they don't do much damage. I've actually been pretty on the ball this time, and I think I got him. Come on. Come on. Yeah! There we go. And I got a new item. Sweet. And there's the greed machine, which I can't put any into because I'm terrible. Touch the big chest he drops, which you couldn't see very well, and hey look, a cutscene. It's Isaac. Isn't he adorable? And screwed. Welcome to greed mode, everyone. I say you should give it a shot. Yeah. Key bum. Isn't it cute? Alright, anyway, thanks again for watching. See you next time.